I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Lookback. This is a video where we go back and take a look at reviews I did last year, 5 years ago, and 10 years ago, and I tell you what I think about them now, if I think about them at all. So here we go. This week, a year ago, I took a look at Fidget Factory. This is made by the same people who made that little fidget device. It's a terrible game. They wanted to stick that fidget cube in the game, so you add sides to this dice. It's a cooperative game where you wear different hats, which you think I might like, but unfortunately this whole thing just really kind of falls apart. Not a good game at all. Photosynthesis Under the Moonlight. I actually thought about dropping this to a 4. This is actually an expansion that makes me like the base game less. I like Photosynthesis. It's a really fun game. But this expansion would add slow animals, added a moon. It just was fiddly and not very good. It actually detracts from Photosynthesis. Mythologian in Der Welt. This is a really simple game about collecting different gods from pantheons. I mean, it's very abstract. It's okay. Ducks in Tow. This is a really cute game about collecting little ducks. You have these little pieces moving around with these ducks. It's a pickup and delivery game. It's, well, I mean, cute I use as the opening word here, and that's really the whole point of this. It's a kind of an introductory style game that I think people will enjoy. Gates of Mara, both that and Ducks in Tow I gave a 7 out of 10 to. Gates of Mara is very the opposite, right? There's a whole lot going on in this game as you're placing these different workers. The base of the worker shows you where you can place them. It's area control. There's a lot going on. I enjoyed this game, but I have noticed that very few people have touched it. Actually, very few people have touched Ducks in Tow either. There's a lot of that going on with the games I'm talking about today because the next one's the same way. Cafe, 7 out of 10. This is from Pythagoras. I like this one a lot, placing cards on top of other cards to produce goods and move them. It has a slight, the end of the game isn't as exciting as I like it to be, but there's a lot of good ideas in this game, Cafe. Or the mining game, 7.5, another one. This one's from Quick Simple Fun Games. It's quick and fun. Well, actually, I don't know how simple it is, but it's about collecting ore. There's a lot of good ideas in this game. It's again worker placement to go here, to go down into a mine, to collect the stuff from that mine. Some really neat concepts. The cover is not very exciting, but the game I enjoy. 7.5. Santorini, New York, an 8 out of 10 I gave this one. This is the sequel to Santorini. This is that whole funky naming that we laugh about, Santorini, New York. But it uses the same system as Santorini. With the New York buildings and skylines. This one works better for more players, and I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Paris, another 8 out of 10. This is a Kramer and Kiesling game. This game, which has some really cool ideas as you're fighting. It's another area control style game. You're fighting over different areas of Paris. And as you build these neighborhoods, you get to move along this bonus track, and you can jump all the way to the end of it, but you can't move back. A lot of cool mechanisms in this. I know an expansion for this just came out, which I haven't seen, but I still really enjoyed the base game. Dwellings of Elder Vale. This is my favorite game I played from last year this week. This is just a big, grandiose game. So much going on in this. And sometimes big and grandiose means I kind of like, oh man, you know, it's almost too much. This game could feel that way, but there's so many neat ideas, putting workers out, pulling them back, fighting giant monsters. Man, I just like everything about this game. I also took a look at Tawantinsuyu, the Inca Empire. This one, now a 6 out of 10, is the latest in the T games, or one of the latest in the T games, and it's I don't know, there was just something about it. Some of the mechanisms just didn't work for me like the other games did. All right, 5 years ago, I took a look at Ponzi Scheme. This game in which you were basically spiraling into debt, out of control debt, and you lose, and you try to maintain as long as you can. I just dropped this 105. The game is okay. I hate the theme. I hate the whole spiraling into debt thing, and maybe that's just a hang-up I can't get over, but I just didn't enjoy it. Morpheus, this is a game about dreams and completing dreams. It's abstract considering it's about dreams, but forgettable. 6 out of 10. Toria, this 6 out of 10 game is one I thought I would like a whole lot more. It's essentially a pick up and deliver style game with these really cool little towers that you put on the board, but it just doesn't really have a lot of zing to it, and it's going to play out fairly similar each game. Docmas, this one I gave a 7 out of 10. Despite the fact that I always want to call it Dorkmas, And it's very abstract, but it's pretty tight. As you place these pieces, it's not a pretty game at all, but there's some good ideas in there. Rainbow 35, a simple game where you're playing cards, but you add the number to the card based on how many cards you've already collected. There's some interesting ideas. I like it. Fold It. This started a little genre briefly. I think they made 2 or 3 other versions of this where it's a puzzle game where you fold this handkerchief in different ways to get the pattern that you see. I like that one. 7 out of 10. Habitats. This one, I really like this quality game about taking an animal, moving it around in your zoo. I give this one a 7.5. Now, on Board Game Geek, it says that this is the precursor to Nova Luna. Maybe. I don't really see it, but I'm trying to stretch my mind. Think so? I think they're very different games, and I like Nova Luna, but I think Habitats is better. Spaghetti, a 7.5. There's a very simple game about these spaghetti noodles and grabbing them and figuring out things. A little dexterity game. I don't know. Maybe I just like spaghetti. Plague Incorporated. Now, this one's an interesting one because I give this one an 8, and I still will. I never did review the expansion because the expansion was released last year, which is one of the worst times to release an expansion to a game about you being a virus trying to destroy the world. I get the black humor. Plague is kind of abstracted out. And I still think this one's an 8 out of 10, but I honestly haven't played it for a while because the theme's just a little too close to home right now. Insider, 8.5 out of 10. I really like this game. I wish there was a little bit more to the game. It's very small. Werewords also gave me, they're very similar games. But Insider I like a lot from Oink. Very cool little, it's like 20 questions with a trader. 10 years ago, I took a look at Strasbourg. 6 out of 10 from Stefan Feld. At the time, I don't think I really knew Feld that well, and this one just felt very mechanical. It was okay, but very mechanical. Of course, that's how Feld is. Discworld Ankh-Morpork. This one has just recently been remade as Nanty Narking because they lost the license. But this one is 7.5. There's some really interesting ideas here. Everyone has secret goals and agendas that they're trying to accomplish. You're trying to figure that out. A lot of fun. Dungeons & Dragons Legends of Drizzt. So 10 years ago, I gave this game an 8. This is the first time I ever heard of Drizzt. It was, I still haven't read books with him in it. I guess I should get around to doing that. But now I know he's a very popular character. This is weird to me that this is 10 years old. Oh, this series is one of the longest running concurrent board game series there is in board gaming. Ares Project. This one I dropped down to a 6. This is from Jeff Engelstein. The original version of this he taught me. This real-time strategy game, there's a lot of things in it, but it's really a little too complex for me to recommend it. There's a lot going on. It's a neat idea. Very, very different factions. It just hasn't stood the test of time as well as I'd like. And Rumble in the House. This one I dropped from an 8 to a 7. I really like this a lot still, though, but it's very, very simple. There's also Rumble the Dungeon and Cthulhu in the House, I think, where you have these figures. Some of them are yours. You can move them or have one knock each other out, and you're just trying to figure out who everyone is. Very simple game, but I really do like it. So those are reviews that I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. I'm Tom Vasel. Thanks for watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.